Today, we're talking about a glitch, but not in your computer. It's a glitch in your brain, a little loophole that companies and even governments might be using without even realizing it. And it all comes down to the bizarre power of a simple how it works link.
Seriously, think about that for a second. You're on a website, maybe looking at your credit score, and you see that little link. You know, the one that says learn more or see how we calculate this. You probably don't even click on it, but you feel a little better, right? A little more in control. Well, it turns out that feeling is not an accident. It's a predictable and really powerful illusion.
So to really get what's going on here, we have to start with the world we're all living in. We are deep in the age of algorithms, and that's where this whole story really kicks off. I mean, think about it. The song that plays next on their music app, the ads you see online, even the interest rate you get for a loan, all of these things are decided by incredibly complex systems. They're making huge decisions that shape our lives, but for most of us, they're complete and total black boxes. So, of course, this has led to a massive push for transparency. It's common sense, right? People want to know how these black boxes are making decisions. Advocacy groups are demanding it, and now governments are stepping in with things like Europe's GDPR, which gives people a right to an explanation. It all sounds great, a clear step forward. More information means more power for us, the consumers. But this is where the story takes a really surprising turn.
Because it turns out that just the promise of an explanation can have a really strange side effect. It can create this powerful and totally fake illusion of understanding.
And here it is. This is the central finding from a 2024 study. Let me just read this because it's so important. Merely believing that one can access an explanation can foster an illusory sense of understanding. The key here? People don't even have to read the explanation. The simple fact that it's available is enough to trick our brains. Okay, so how on earth do you even test a wild idea like that? Well, for their first experiment, the researchers used a real-world algorithm that has a huge impact on people's lives, the Vantage Score model. You know, one of the main systems that calculates your credit score. And the result was just stunning. Get this. The group of people who were simply shown a link to an explanation felt a whopping 31% more knowledgeable about how the algorithm worked. 31%. And the craziest part? Almost none of them actually clicked the link. They didn't learn a single new thing, but they walked away feeling like they did. So, what is going on here? This isn't just some random quirk. There's a specific psychological chain reaction that's getting triggered. Let's break down exactly how our brains fall for this trick. Okay, so it pretty much works like this. Step 1, you see the learn more link. That signals the prospect of an explanation. Step 2, your brain translates this into a feeling of empowerment, the sense that you could take action, you could gain control if you wanted to. Step 3, and this is the glitch, your brain mistakes that feeling of potential control for actual understanding. And finally, step 4, this fake confidence makes you more likely to just trust the algorithm, even though you don't know anything more about it than you did a minute ago. And this whole thing hinges on this key psychological concept, empowerment. The research shows that it's not about what you actually do, it's all about what you feel you could do. Just having the option to learn something feels so much like having control that our brain takes a shortcut and just jumps straight to the feeling of understanding. Now, you might be thinking, okay, feeling a little bit smarter than I am, what's the big deal? Well, what happens when there's real money on the line? A second study shows just how costly this little illusion can be. So the researchers set up this choice with real stakes. They asked people to pick one of two automated financial advisors, robo-advisors, to predict the stock market. And if their choice made a correct prediction, they'd get a real cash bonus. So here was the trade-off. Robo-advisor A was just objectively better. It had a 94% accuracy rate, but it was a total black box, no explanation available. Then you have robo-advisor B. It was less accurate, only 89%, but it came with that tempting how it works link. I mean, the rational choice here seems pretty obvious, right? You go with a more accurate one if you want to win the money. So what do you think happened? Did people follow the hard numbers and the better odds? Or did they follow that feeling, that illusion of understanding? The results are, well, they're pretty shocking. When neither of the advisors offered an explanation, only about 7% of people chose the worse one. That makes sense. But when the less accurate advisor dangled that how it works link, the number of people choosing it jumped to 31%. It more than quadrupled. That one little link was enough to convince a huge chunk of people to make a decision that was just plain worse for their wallets.
And this brings us right to what you might call the transparency paradox. The very tools that are designed to make us feel more informed, more in control, can actually lead us to make less rational choices. So what are we supposed to take away from all this?
Well, here's where it gets really counterintuitive. You'd think a super complex, jargon-filled explanation would be the most misleading, right? But the study found the exact opposite. An explanation that's clearly designed for experts creates a much smaller illusion. It's the simple explanations, the ones written for lay people like you and me, that create a much stronger illusion of understanding. Why? Because it feels more accessible, which just cranks up that feeling of potential control even more.
So here's the bottom line. Those policies that are pushing for transparency, which seem like such a good idea, can seriously backfire. They can lull us into this false sense of security. So the next time you see a Learn More link, just take a second, pause, and ask yourself, do I feel like I get this because I actually get it, or just because I know I could get it if I tried? Because that feeling of understanding and the reality of it are two completely different things.
And that's the real million-dollar question, isn't it? Knowing about a mental bias is the first step, for sure. But this illusion of understanding is so powerful because it feels good. It feels like we're in control. So now that you know how the trick works, do you think you'll be able to spot it?